subscribers, you could actually get some limitations in terms of how many people or how many viewers you can get on your live stream.
I was just looking to see if because I'm sorry, guys. You know, sometimes I do feel like just picking this laptop up, you know, on the surface, very calm on the surface, just picking it up, unplugging it, taking it outside, coming back in again on the surface, completely calm, grabbing a hammer, going back outside and smashing the fucking life out of it. But then I will have cut my nose off to spite my face. It's just irritating. So I do apologise for being late. So who's with me? Who's the one single person that's with me? Oh, let me turn this main light off. Make it a little bit more intimate, you know. Got the candle burning away. Fuck me, it's always a drama just trying to get a live stream going. Plus, this is done through YouTube Studio, so it's not through the YouTube app where you watch, you know, all the videos and stuff like that. It's through YouTube Studios or Studio. Now I've got YouTube Studio on my phone, but it doesn't give me any of the options that I get on here on the laptop. So I mean, why is that? It makes no sense, because if I could, I'd be able to live stream from my phone at protests and stuff. You know, it just makes pure sense. Okay, now I'll show you. It makes no sense. Right on the right hand side, it's got create. You click on create. It says go live, and you type in Wednesday night live, Saturday night live, or Friday night live, whatever. And then you just kind of just put a bit in there and off you go. It's just ridiculous. Because I would love to be able to do, there must be an easier way of doing this shit, you know? Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's nothing on there. There's nothing on there to do a live stream. Nothing. Yeah, you couldn't make this shit up. And you start to wonder, am I being restricted? You know, because it does make me wonder. I mean, there are two particular YouTubers. I think one lives in Mexico. I don't know where the other one lives. He's got a bald head. He's very, very outspoken. Let me see if I can. Because I'm sure a few of you are subscribed to him. Where is he? Because you'll know who he is, or some of you will. And basically, he really does. Oh, his name's Dino Bain. Oh, I bet there's a shitload of fucking adverts first. It starts off like that with some bird.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So
basically marching all of the cockroaches up back onto a plane and then fucking them off.
Insecure when it comes to our leaders and what they're saying and what they're actually
doing. Do you recognise him?
Their actions are showing us.
So you've got people like him.
About the fact that there seems to be in Islam.
All right, and then you've got this chap in Mexico, and they do talk the talk. You know, they do say what we're all thinking, right? But none of them live in the UK. You know. So they can get as gobby as they want because there's no extradition treaty with any of these countries. So they can just say whatever the fuck they want. They're not bothered. I think it takes balls to be able to be sat here in the UK, in Stalin Starmer's UK, and still hold your ground with freedom of speech. You know? Even the angry bootneck. You know, he gets a bit gobby from time to time. He lives in fucking California. I was just listening to the. I'm sure you've all heard there is a crazy fucking Turk, and there's a bloke stood in the street burning the Quran. Now, that does things like that. It does wind them up a little bit, you know. It does. If we were walking down the street and there was one of them burning the Bible, I'd be like, "What are you doing? I'm burning the bloody Bible, man. What do you think I'm fucking doing?" All right, calm down, crack on. I'm going to Greg's. Ciao. You know, if it was the other way around, before you know it, you've got swarms of the fuckers on you like flies. So anyway, this Turkish bloke, obviously Turkey's a Muslim country, comes flying out of his house, trying to stab up this bloke who's burning the Quran, trying to stab him up. And the guy's obviously like, you know, chill out, mate. Put the blade down. I'm gonna have to move that water. Can't be doing with that. No, the mood I'm in. So the guy ends up on the floor because no one wants to get stabbed, right? I was stabbed, sort of stabbed once when I was. Hold that thought. By the way, darling. Come on, do me a favour. So the guy, yeah. So anyway, it was in. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Penge. It's part of Croydon. And I mean, this was way back when I must have been about 17 years old. I was 17, I think. And it was a right shithole. Again, I felt like a fucking dot on a domino down there. And I was knocking. I was selling stuff door to door, so we were staying down there from Monday night, and then coming back on Friday. And I was just sat outside having a smoke and a beer just outside the flat, which was above a chemist next door to a pub. And along comes this twat with a couple of friends, and I got gobby back. You know, next thing I know, he's pulled a knife out, and I had a brand new white T-shirt on that I bought that weekend. This was the Monday night, first night down there, brand new T-shirt. And the knife went in maybe about a centimetre. But it was enough because I felt the puncture, you know. It was enough to make me silent. So anyway, this bloke ends up landing on his arse because he's got this knife-wielding fucking nut job. They're all nut jobs. Why would you follow a nonce if you're not a nut job? You know? Why would you think marrying and having sex with a child is okay unless you're a fucking nut job? They're all nut jobs. So anyway, so this guy is like, you know, he's trying to defend himself. He ends up going back, and when he's gone back, he's lost his footing. He's landed on his back. And this guy, this knife wielding prick from Turkey, starts sticking the boot in. And this guy didn't punch back or kick back or anything like that, you know. And this knife-wielding absolute maniac, Muslim, has got a 20-week suspended sentence. The other guy got arrested. I can't remember what his punishment was now. I'll have to look into it, right? But his punishment was more severe, just for burning a book. It was his book. He bought it, so therefore it was his property, his book, his fucking book. You can do whatever you want with your own property. Once you've purchased something, you know, not hired it or anything like that, or loaned it from someone. If you've purchased something with your own money, it's yours. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Hello, 4x4 fellow, and a hello, Ray. How are you? All right. Do you know what? It's getting so fucking ridiculous in this country now. That so when Sad IQ Con started putting all these ULEZ cameras up, right, and then all of a sudden you've got these people that are just all black ballies, black hat, black tops, black coats, black track, black everything, you know, just running along like that. Dun, 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 dun. Ladder up, dun, 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 dun. Gets up there, disconnects it all, lets it all drop, and then makes sure it's smashed to fuck, and then he's gone back into the shadows, the Blade Runners, right? Now, that's an example of what people end up being driven to do because they want justice. They want to see justice. Whenever people start to feel oppressed, and everyone is being oppressed, or are they? I think you're only oppressed if you allow yourself to be oppressed. You know. So because the police are fucking useless, you know, they're not fit for purpose, and they don't work for you. And then all of the two-tier shit as well. It's inevitable that eventually we're going to have groups of blokes going around, you know, wearing very similar attire to the Blade Runners, making sure that our streets are safe. Vigilantism is on its way. It's on its way. And do you think the community are going to dob someone in that's a vigilante that's trying to protect their community? You know? Fortunately, like the hotel it's just up the road from me, and they tend to stay in there a lot more now. Not many of them come out on a Saturday, you know. Again, that started off as just a handful of us. Now it's massive. And they tend to stay indoors. But you do get the occasional cocky little cockroach. Try saying that after you've had a few beers. Cocky little cunt cockroach. I can't say it fast. That comes out and is like, you know, with all the swagger, looking like absolute fucking retard. Because they are, you know. Mohammed, what? Do you mind sitting down with me? I'll pay you. I just want 10 minutes of your time. That's all. 10 quid. £1 a minute. Yeah? Okay. What is catch? No catch. It's just an IQ test. What is that? I knew you were going to ask that question. This is one of the reasons why I'm going to try and get you to do one. To score that low was an amoeba. Oh. My joke's just coming to my head. You've probably heard before, right? So, bloke's got some chickens. We used to have chickens. We used to have 3 hens, and we named them all, you know. But they were free. They were free to run around. We didn't have a dog at that time. Next door didn't have a dog either. And so anyway, so bloke's got some chickens. One of his chickens goes next door, right? Mohammed, right? So he goes and knocks on Mohammed's door. He says, "Right, chap, one of my hens has just laid an egg on your path in your garden. Just wondering if you could just pass it over the fence for me." He said, like, No, bloody no, fucking no. He said, "My garden, my egg." So John's thinking, no, look, it's my chicken. Just give me the fucking egg. No, my egg, my garden, my egg. All right, tell you what, we'll do it British traditional sport. Okay, we kick each other in the bollocks until one of us goes down. The one that's left standing gets to keep the egg. What do you think? Oh, bloody, bloody, bloody. Oh, fucking, bloody, bloody, fucking. Okay, we've got a deal. We've got a deal. So they both stood there, and John goes, fuck off, straight in his bollocks. The guy goes straight down. He leans over and he says, keep the fucking egg. Oh, the old ones are the best. It's just every single time you put the news on now, it's you know, and when I say the news, I don't mean mainstream. I don't listen to mainstream shit. It's not. There's no balance there. There's absolutely no balance whatsoever in mainstream media. Yet, even in the in Ofcom's rules, it says that there has to be proportionate representation. You know, the amount of times I've heard black people say, "Where are all the white people at?" You know, I found myself saying that now. When adverts come on, I'm like, "Where are all the white people at?" Because they're not existent. You get to see white women, and quite attractive white women. You get to see white kids, mixed race kids, but then I ever see a white man. He's in the background, and he's usually about 25 stone, eating a burger, balding, ill-fitting trousers, string vest with stains on it. You know, unshaven, a right proper fucking state. And that's it. That's how they're depicting as white British men in this country. You can't beat a bit of fiction. Because that's all it is. We're here and we're ready. So it doesn't matter how much you try and block us out on mainstream bollocks. It doesn't make any difference, and it's not going to make any difference because we're here and we're ready. You know, I think there must be hundreds of thousands of men in this country that are fucking rearing to go. You know, revved up like Hulk Hogan versions of the Duracell fucking bunny. Just fucking ready. Just ready. Because I am. So I was talking to Raj, you know, Raj, Indian fella, Hindu, lovely guy, proper nice bloke. Again, I don't want to send everyone back to their original country of origin or their parents' country of origin or their parents' country of origin. I don't want to do that, you know. I just want to send every single person back that we've got no proof of, we've got no background of, you know. And certainly anyone that's committed one single crime, even if it's just nicking a packet of crisps from a shop, home, gone. And all of the fucking dependents they've brought over with them, gone. Did you know that they're shipping in 500 people from Manchester Airport? These clandestine planes. Let me see if I can find the actual article. If I can't find it fairly quickly, I'll leave it because I don't like messing around with my phone. But they're claiming that the majority of them are from Gaza. So we assist Israel in a hostile takeover / genocide in Gaza. and then we move in and say, right, come on. Yeah, so sorry about this. I know. All this, yeah, I've seen photos of what this place used to look like before it was flat. Come with us, you know, we'll put you in a hotel in England. You couldn't make this shit up. It's absolute insanity. So we're helping to obliterate the Gazans, and then going over and picking them up and then bringing them over here. You know? Now, I can imagine that they're not like very westernized. So they probably don't know that a lot of the bombs that have hit them have been manufactured by the UK, or the UK's got some sort of connection with arms that have been used against them. But what happens when they do find out, if they don't know already, and they come over here? How would you feel? I'll be looking around at everyone thinking, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. I'd be pissed. I think the worst thing about it all is that they're all, you know, they're all coming in from Muslim countries, and you know, all prison food is halal now, right? All KFC is halal now. And someone mentioned earlier on that it's like that you don't see the Jew. I think it might have been Maya Tusi. Again, he's a dickhead. He's so fucking one-sided. He says you don't see the Jews coming over, you know, with their kosher and trying to push their kosher on us. No, because they're too busy infiltrating our government. Oh my fucking good night. I'm despairing at this government. I think we all are. You know, I think we've all had enough. I mean, I'd love to know what the Ginger Growl is doing now, because she's never going to be able to walk down a British street. England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, you know, she's fucked from living a normal life in this country. You know, she'll have to turn into some sort of hermit with loads of security, because there's a price to be paid. Actually, she's probably sold her £800,000 house, third house. Took that 800 grand, rented the other 2 houses out, and fucked off to Thailand. It wouldn't surprise me, you know. She's quite partial to what are those little speedboat things? She's quite oh no, she was in a dinghy. Yeah, she's quite partial to a dinghy and a fag. You know, look, I'm extremely working class, right? My background was, you know, very poor, very poor. You know, no fucking money growing up. So I'm not normally slag my class off, right? But I think she's the least classy and least intelligent deputy prime minister this country's ever had. Actually, I take that back. She's been replaced by someone that's 10 times as thick. Do you know what? I might do a bit of research into seeing if Lammy is actually Diane Abbott's twin, because they're both thick as fuck. So I think if you find that when you look at the costume, you'll find the whole of the costume is quite accurate when you factor in the factor of 9 for the 4. And then what you'll get is, what was the question again? What the fuck? Hello, Chelsea Star. Is this Chelsea Star or is this Rosa? Because I don't know. Oh, it's Rosa. Hello, Rosa. You're right, darling. Hey, Ruth. How you doing, sweetheart? Has she been in the Commons since she got sacked, sitting in the back benches, or still in hiding? I don't know. She's creeping back into the. She's creeping back onto the scene again. I think she's trying to maybe get back into Jeremy Corbyn's long johns, because he don't strike me as a boxer short kind of guy. You know, he strikes me more of a long johns kind of guy. She's trying to get back into his long johns. I mean, Jeremy. How many of these did you have down you? Eh? And did you have to stay consistently pissed in order to manage to? Oh dear. But yeah, Chelsea Star. Rosa. I need to get back to your daughter in relation to trying to figure out this whole balm thing. On how to extract the blah blah blah. You imagine, right? Because I've had a bit of a look around, and I can't. There's not really anything out there. So people buy patches because they want to quit smoking, or they buy patches because they've heard that the nicotine can attack the nanoparticles and stuff in your blood, right? So they go out and buy these patches, right? Fuck knows what's in them, really, you know? I mean, a long time ago, I did try the patches when I was trying to quit. And whenever I took it off, it was just this perfect red oblong, perfectly red, because it had just burned my skin. So you can get them at different strengths. So you imagine being able to infuse nicotine into coconut oil. So you've got a nicotine balm that's actually kind to your skin, as well as getting that nicotine straight into your blood supply through your skin. And it would be 100% organic, 100% organic. Even the extraction methods used to get the nicotine out of the leaves, that'll be 100% organic. No additives, nothing. Completely natural. You know, stuff like that will fly. But then, with it being a nicotine product, and I'm still going to go for it, you know. And I can work on a bartering, an exchange system, whereas there's no money involved. You know, I just trade for food. That's it. And there's nothing that anyone can do about it. It's just that normally, I mean, even when you buy xXx without any liquid or anything like that, it's still even though that product's got no nicotine in it whatsoever until you put it in there. Just the boxed product, the electronic. You even have to have a sign on that saying that, you know, it may contain nicotine. It has to be over a certain age. It may contain nicotine. A warning that it may contain nicotine. There's no fucking nicotine in there until you put it in. So I don't know where I would lie with selling something like that on, say, you know, maybe starting an eBay shop up. But then even an eBay shop, you're going to need to have a bank account. So, again, these are loads of little bridges that we'll cross as we come to them. I want to see everyone else signing up to this shit first, and then pay attention, right? Just sit back and watch with a massive big fuck off tub like that of popcorn. See how it goes. Double it up with DMSO on your skin and you're cooking by gas. Hello there, Geraldine. It's Jerry. Oh, Jerry, you all right, darling? It's good to see you. I think it's because it's a Wednesday. You know, I've caught a few people off guard because they're not. She's fucked another pair of jeans up. I thought she's cost thousands of pounds worth of damage. Do you know what, Jerry? I might actually do that. But first of all, and it's important, I need to know what the fuck DMSO is. So if you can elaborate on that, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, it's definitely a route I'm going to go down. You know, and look, I mean, just trying to flog some tobacco plants. If I saw a sign saying 12 tobacco plants, each one can give you about up to 100 grams of tobacco, I'd automatically be thinking, hold on, it's 45 quid for 50 grams. And this is 12 plants, so that's 1,200 grams for 20 quid. You know, I would be thinking, hell yeah. But no one's interested. You can't fucking give them away. But I did all that quite late in the year, so people are thinking, I've got no room to put on a fucking tobacco plant. You know, they might have done a quick look online to see how big some tobacco plants can grow, and some of them are very big and very bushy. Grow up, Terry. So they've probably been put off from that. So doing something like that next year, but early on in the year, it could take off. And if all those seeds that I've managed to get from that tobacco plant all germinate, fucking hell, it's just tobacco forever. So yeah, the tinctures thing, the supplements thing, and then the nicotine balm instead of patches, which anyone in their right mind would prefer. Magic doesn't happen overnight with things like that. But all great things have really humble beginnings, really small beginnings. So, you know, we'll see how we go next year. And that will give me all winter to try and master the art of creating a nicotine balm made from coconut oil, of which I've probably got about 74 tons of. Oh dear. You did indeed. I was just about to watch UK Police Watch. This is way better, Jerry. You know, come on. We've seen it all before. It's like, you're nicked. All right. You're nicked. Why? Because you're nicked. All right. That's it. And they're all bastards. I'm not a bastard, Jerry. You know, I'm not going to nick you for free. You know, I don't mind a bit of role play, but it'll cost you. DMSO. What is it, Jerry? Jerry and Terry sitting in a tree. KISSING. We could start off a rip-off ice cream company. Terry and Jerry. And it'll be better and healthier and organic. It's the auditors giving them a bit of what for. Yeah, well, there's one auditor. I did put it in the post section. It was a screenshot of his video, and he's put Annie Red across the screen. I thought, oh yeah, you know, because she's one of ours, and he's had to start his channel from scratch because YouTube have just wiped it out. I can't remember how many subscribers he had now, but it's quite a lot. I think he was, you know, probably doing all right out of it, and he's had to start from scratch. He can't even monetize the channel until he gets to 1,000 subscribers. And that's all because he'd filmed I'm not sure if he filmed or someone else had filmed one of the cockroaches with his cock out in public. And because it wasn't blurred properly, I don't know why I did that. Because it wasn't blurred properly, YouTube decided you're gone. You know, instead of taking that video down and saying, "Oi, do it again," they just wiped his channel out, his entire channel out. And now there's another auditor who made the mistake of going over and having a conversation with Channel 4 News, which again, that's just pure stupidity, utter stupidity. Why the fuck would you want to do that unless it's about ego? You know, yeah. Did you see me when I was on Channel 4? Did you see me talking to Channel 4? They got me on the film and said we're going to use it. Yeah, that'll get me loads of subs. That will, mate. Loads of subs. You know, that's the only reason. That's the only reason why I can imagine someone could be that fucking stupid. Then they've contacted him and they've said, and they've basically twisted a lot of what he said, because that's what they do. That's what mainstream media do. They clip stuff and make you look bad, or clip stuff and make you look good, depending on what the narrative is at the time. But they're out to destroy him now. And I think because you've heard me have a bit of a moan, and I have had a bit of a moan for the reasons I'll go through again, right? In the beginning, there was the word. In the beginning, there was auditing Britain. He was the only auditor. He was the only one that was going out and doing this, right? But he was basically testing the police. That was his thing, going from police station to police station, clued up with the law, and then suing them for wrongful arrest, which came out of your pocket. But then a few more auditors, they started doing the hotels, and then a couple managed to get into a hotel. Everyone was finally getting to see all of these young fighting age men all playing pool and ping pong and all that fucking shit, whilst drinking beer and eating food and what have you. The next thing you know, everyone's doing it. You know, it's like auditing this, auditing that, you're auditing this, auditing that. Blah 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 audits, so and so audits, and there's just fucking thousands of them, to the point where I was thinking, at this rate, give it a couple of years, they'll be just auditing each other, because everyone's going to be an auditor. But I think that's one thing that the establishment are a bit nervous about, is the fact that these auditing channels are quite popular. They are quite popular. You know, a lot of people like to see, because a lot of them are live streamed, so there's no editing, usually adverts, you know. But it is what it is, you know. It's the truth unfolding in real time, and so it's like you're there, and so there's no lies, there's no bullshit there. It's all you know. It's just they're walking around just filming shit. And then more and more and more of them have managed to get inside hotels. So people have had the outside perspective, the inside perspective, and then they've been out and about in the streets of like Birmingham and Manchester and places like that, and just going around the town centres, the main parts of the town centres, and filming that and catching these cockroaches. Up to no good, you know, accosting young girls and just being proper dirty, filthy little fucking lechers, you know, girls that just want to get from point A to point B without any greasy, dirty, filthy little fuck just trying to get their dirty, filthy, greasy little hands on them. And they should be able to do that. So all we're seeing is just bad behaviour after bad behaviour after bad behaviour, and you've got all these auditors. Again, like I said, you know, it seems like everyone's doing it now, and there's more and more and more people doing it on a daily basis. It's getting more and more and more because people are thinking, why the fuck should I work when I can just go around filming shit all day, you know? But it does give you a very, very broad view of what's happening around the country. So like I said, so it's a bit annoying because everyone's at it, and like I've said before, it's like a you know a dick measuring competition. It's like, how many subs have you got? I've got 50,000. How do you get 50,000? Because I'm better than you and that. I'll send some. Go over to so and so audits and give him some love. You know, go. If they just fuck the fucking ego off, got rid of the ego, and just put some seriousness into it, you know, then yeah, to be taken a bit more seriously. But like I said, they are giving us a big, broad perspective of what's going on around the country. I mean, the French are fucking hell. France is mad. Is mad at the moment. They're still struggling to contain it. It's quite difficult to find a lot of this on mainstream media, of course. But when you go on X and certain smaller channels on YouTube and that, it's very obvious, you know. And I did fancy going to France, but once just to see Notre Dame and the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower. Even though I don't like touristy areas, I love that it's the marvel of what the white man can build. Did I say that out loud? But I don't. There's a lot of French people over there, and that puts me off going. You know, I can just picture me going into a restaurant over there. You know, in Grand Paris, one of these little outdoor restaurant things in the sunshine, with just a little tiny piece of shadow of the Eiffel Tower casting against my face, and saying to the waiter, "Bonjour, bonjour, monsieur." Yes, monsieur. Do you sell the frog's legs? Do you have frog's legs? Yes, sir. Good. Well, then hop on into the kitchen and get me a fucking ham cob. Oh, did you hear that sigh? That was her saying that was fucking shit. That was. Oh, where are we? Yeah, so auditors or street journalism, you know, which one is it? Which is which? What's what? And then someone came up with an idea of hiring bodyguards to go out with them now. And you can see why. You can see why, because it's almost all cockroaches that kick off. No film, no film, no film. And because they don't know our laws, and moreover, they don't give a fuck about our laws. They don't realise that we can all film in public. You know, there's no right. You have no right to privacy in public. None. If you want privacy, you've got to create it. That's the law. I tried garlic snails and it's like, what was it like? What was it like, Ruth? I mean, there's me pretending to gag, right? In fact, do you know what? It was actually a semi-real gag because I've got a very vivid imagination of the chewiness and the knowing what it was, you know. Yeah, I've picked them off my cabbages before and looked at them and thought, oh, I just put them out of the way. Can't kill them. So, but when I was a kid, we used to eat winkles. Winkles are just tiny little sea snails, about that big. You know, it was this big. And we used to collect loads and loads of them up, take them home. Mum would shove them in the pressure cooker, cook them up, and we just sit there with a little needle in front of the telly or in front of the coal fire, just picking them out, these little snails, and eating them. And I loved them. The thought of eating something like that now just makes me want to throw up in my mouth, or yours. But yeah, these foreigners are right weird bastards, aren't they? You know, I watched, there was a little short video of a woman. She had these two big fuck off tarantulas, and they were alive. They were alive, and she was like that, you know, and they were both kind of just crawling all over her hands and then crawling over each other like that. And then she put one down. They were big as a dainty woman's hands, or maybe a young teenage girl's hands, something like that. You know, just try and give you a rough idea. And she put one down and she picked the other one up. Still alive, right? She spoke no English. And then she turned it around, you know, the chunky fat bit at the back, the abdomen. The spider's legs are still moving around like that in her other hand while she's just chomping away. Oh, mad! I just can't get my head around it. Look, I know that people have throughout history, and this could happen again. This is another possibility. You know, maybe in a few years' time, who knows? It's really hard to. We're kind of trying to stay on top of everything as everything's unfolding and happening, right? But a lot of it we didn't. You know, there's a lot of things that we haven't seen coming. There's a lot of things that we have. So there has been in relatively recent times where there's been no food, nothing. People have had no money, nothing. And it is quite possible that can happen. I think it's inevitable that's going to happen again. I do think that's going to be part of the Great Reset. That's not great. Of like cannibalism and stuff like that, just eating stuff that you ordinarily just wouldn't enter into your mind to eat. I think the closest we've been in recent times in this country, the closest we've been to eating nasty, gross stuff was post World War II, where people were on rations and were eating stuff like tripe and heart and I just died in your arms tonight. Got to be over a certain age to get that, but they ate stuff like that, you know, offal. Whereas I wouldn't eat stuff like that. But if I was starving, that would become more and more attractive to me. And then there was, there's examples of in Russia where things got really, really bad at one time, just over 90 years ago, where people's family members were dying, and then they just carve them up, sell it as meat, and then the money they got for that, they go out and buy proper meat, selling bits of their own family as food to other people. Very real, it's the truth. So eating mad, crazy fucking shit, I understand that if there's a famine. But when you've got a Chinese restaurant just down the road, or you've got a fucking farm foods, why eat a massive spider's arse like that. And then there was another one who another guy, another one of them, right, who teased and it just looked like a shell, just a shell on the seashore. She was selling them. Anyway, he had a bit of a mess around inside the hole. Oh, the innuendos. All of a sudden, this thing came out. And then another thing. Before you knew it, it was an octopus, and this octopus had climbed out of this thing, and it had gone around his hand, and he grabbed hold of that and ate straight into it. You know, one of the most intelligent life forms on Earth, and the only life form on Earth that people genuinely believe are not from Earth. Have a look into it; it's very interesting. So yeah, just eating mad shit. And then you've got these cockroaches. I'll never call them dinghy divers, you know, or guests. These cockroaches that have got meals there ready for them 3 times a fucking day. Or they get a breakfast, you know. It's all right. We don't want to make it too early, so you can have a lie-in, lads. Whilst you're getting up at fucking 4 in the morning. And then they get a really, really nice, good quality packed lunch for the lunch whilst they're out accosting young girls. And they come home and you've got a choice of this massive fuck-off buffet, ready-made, all prepared, all there ready for you. Enjoy, you know? And then a couple of them think, oh, do you know what? I'm really fucking bored of chicken curry now and beef madras, and then reeling a list of about 50,000 other things that I've got a choice from. I'm bored of all them. Let's go out and kill a fucking swan and then bring it back and roast it over a fire at the bottom of the car park of the hotel. Because that's happening. So when I say to you, right, that even if these fucking cockroaches end up in big Humvees, right, or Humvees with blue helmets on and AKs, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be a bit of a shock initially, but don't worry about it, because they're thick as fucking pig shit. A doddle. And once you get going, you know, that's the beginning of the ending of that. Oh, I could really fucking, but then am I self-censoring, you know, or just picking my battles? It went well with some red wine. Yeah, I'd be like that. I'd be like this. That's why the red wine would be there. Just so I can say I tried it. Didn't like it, but I tried it. Even though you've got no real experience of it because you just fucking sloshed it down your throat. I wouldn't eat that unless I was starving. Same applies to mackerel and pilchards. I forgot what pilchards look like. I didn't realise they were like whole fucking fish, like still with the skin on and that. That's what they had for their tea tonight. Oh, it was horrible. As soon as I opened it up, like, and it was like this waft. I'm like, yeah, we used to eat winkles as kids when camping on Shell Island. I love Shell Island. Some really, that was mine and Sally's last holiday, you know. Yeah. probably the most incredible campsite in the UK. And the fact that you could just shut off from the mainland at certain times of the day because the tide comes in and it just covers the road that leads onto the island. And then when the tide goes out, you can drive back onto the mainland and go wherever, you know. But it's massive. It's just huge. And then you can camp on the cliff tops. The only downside to that is that it blows a hoolie. And if you've got a shit tent, you wake up, right? Frank, what? I'm fucking freezing. Well, zip your sleeping bag up and cuddle into me. Frank, what? I can see the stars. Where's the tent? But you can see it's not uncommon to see whales and dolphins and stuff just swimming around in the sea. It's a beautiful, beautiful campsite. If you live in the UK and you ever want to go camping, if you want to go camping next year, depending on how many carbon credits you've got, go there. Go there. You'll love it. Loads of little nooks and crannies and sand dunes and loads of space. No sense of being overcrowded or anything like that. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Cannibalism happened in the Bible too. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's a terrible thought there, Ruth. And I do need to tell you. I was just going to say, is that when did Adam eat Eve out? Now I'm really regretting saying that. I do apologise. Oh dear. That was, yeah. Pretend you didn't hear that, Ruth. Put your hand, do that. La 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 la. Well, I fucking said it now. I would eat grass if there was just liver and kidneys to eat. Yeah, but you see, your body can't process grass. Your body won't get any nutrients out of grass at all. You might get some trace minerals and a little bit of hydration working with the minerals. That's about it. As far as nutrition's concerned, zero. Because the human body can't process grass. That's why cows have got 3 stomachs, you know. It's mad. But I'm still with you. You know, the idea of eating kidneys and liver, it took me ages to get used to chopping up liver, chunks of liver, just sloppy slabs of liver. Yeah, and then cooking it, and the smell of it. Took a while to get used to that because it's not pleasant. But again, post World War II, these are the sort of cookbooks that might be worth investing in. Pre-1920s books, so any like foraging books or cookbooks or books on anything pre-2020, 1920 are going to be good books, right? But then ration book type books where people just had to come up with as many interesting ways to make a little bit go as far as possible is concerned, just so that you can make your stash, your hoard, your haul or whatever last as long as possible. And yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I don't know how much rice you've got, but I've got a lot of rice. So much fucking rice. This is why I've had to come with loads and loads and loads of ideas and to write them all down. And I went up into, I knew I had a laminator somewhere still functioning from when Sal used to work from home. And I found it and the cable to it. So I ended up I've sent off for some laminating plastics. You get 2 sheets per laminate, you know, just so that I can start writing instructions down and in case of my death, because if Reese moves in here and he's like, picks up one can and it says best before December 2024, he'll chuck that in the bin. Best before 2023, bag of rice, bin. I need to write down to say, look, don't throw anything away. Don't throw anything that you see away. Everything. I've spent 5 years researching to make sure. What's the name of that botulism? Botulism. The amount of fucking times I've had emails or comments saying, but what about botulism? Let me tell you about botulism. Very briefly, you know I don't like fucking about on my phone when I'm talking. How many cases of botulism were recorded in 2024 in the UK? Oh, wow. Oh. That's actually way more than I expected. There were at least 2 cases. 2 fucking cases. Let that sink in. I'll read the entire bit. There were at least 2 cases of foodborne botulism, which is the type of botulism that people are concerned about, especially preppers, right? Botulism recorded in the UK in 2024. 1 in February and 1 in September. Nicely spaced out. These cases are part of a broader period from 2010 to 2024 that saw, wow, so between 2010 and 2024, 13 cases. 13 cases. Don't fucking worry about botulism. You know, statistically, you've got a bigger chance of being hit by a car, being impaled by a fucking unicorn. You know, but what a way to go. I don't believe in unicorns. Oh, you bastard. So throwing stuff out just based on something that's just printed onto a can or onto a little packet of something, it means fuck all. What matters above all else is common sense. That's it. So if you're a little bit, I mean, I've opened cans and I've looked at the entire can, right? It's been a bit out of date, 2-3 years out of date. You know, if you want to use that term, I've given it a good once over and there's no sign of anything, no problems. But the can didn't feel right. Kiss Tom as a wanker. So I got the ring pulls, you know, that fucking weakness. Got pulled the ring pull back and what? It hit me, you know. There must have been air getting in there because a good sort of like 2-3 millimeters of the surface of whatever that used to be have completely solidified and dried out with old mold on it, you know, and the mold must have died because there was no light source. So that might have been botulism. I don't know. But it was fucking obvious. But the amount of cans, again, this isn't me. Again, disclaimer, for fuck's sake. In a world full of common sense, there would be no need for disclaimers ever. I've opened countless amounts of cans now. I've been prepping 5 years. Countless amounts of cans. And the amount of cans that I've dug out and I've looked at the date, I thought, oh, fuck me, you know, might as well use it up, because it's a little bit like that on the top, you know. And I've put the tin opener on there, aimed it away from myself, and then and there's a little squirt comes out. Added a bit of extra water to it, boiled the fucking life out of it, ate it, no problems. So that would have been a can of food that could have sustained you for days. One can of beans that could have kept you sustained for days, maybe a week, 10 days. You threw it away just because it was slightly concaved and you're a bit of a fucking pussy. Always pour old cans into a bowl first to check it out before popping it in your pan. I've never come across anything bad, but always best to check. I'm a bit rock and roll though, Ruth, when it comes to cans, you know, which is a really unusual thing to be rock and roll about. So yeah, I suppose that makes me a bit of a one-off, you know. Have you heard about that Terry who? The one that's all rock and roll about cans. Whoa, I know you're on about. Okay, stay away from that one. Bad time to laugh. Timing, you know, when you've got a mouthful of something. Yeah. Well, again, that was another lovely little innuendo that I just slipped in there. So, I don't normally drink on a Wednesday. However, my plan is, again, this is just that these are lovely little ideas for Christmas and that, you know. This is boring to some people, but it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't. Because this is the direction we're aiming in. So, you know, any little ideas, and if you've got any ideas to throw back at me, I'm always grateful, you know. So I bought some. The idea is, I've got some sloes. I've got some sloe berries. Picked them. Did a little short video with some really lovely music over the top that I thought was quite appropriate for it, because there's loads of dappled sunlight coming through, as you could see these berries as I'm panning around with the camera, you know. And so the plan is. I think that used to be whiskey, and I had some little miniatures that I smashed on Christmas Day that someone had bought me, like a little selection of whiskies or whatever it was. So I went out and bought I bought loads of tapered corks. So you've got that oldie worldy look about it, you know. So the plan is I'm going to make loads of sloe gin. So I bought some gin. And I'm going to make some sloe gin. I've got about 3 or 4 of these, pretty much identical. You just take the labels off and just reuse them, and then give them on as gifts. Do you know what? If someone said, I've just put some money in a card for you, I'd be thinking, oh. What I'd say is, thank you very much. That's very kind. I really appreciate that. What I'm thinking is, you lazy cunt. Lazy, cop out. People would really, if someone turned around and gave me a little bottle like that of organic homemade sloe gin, I'd be made up. But I'm like that. You know, if someone makes something for me, I love it, because someone's put their time into that, at the end of every live stream, I say thank you for your time, because it's precious. So if someone's put time into that, it's so easy just go, oh, grab some extra cards whilst you're out, Frank. Right? And then come back. It's like, where's my purse, Frank? It's next to you. Oh, yeah. And then just put some money in it. There, done. It's a cop-out. I always appreciate when people put effort in for me, you know. And yeah, I mean, I make beautiful candles, you know, because I'm all fucking masculine in that. I'm a bloke. I'm a geezer. You know what I mean? That's what I do. I make candles because I'm fucking hard like that. But I love making candles. It's very therapeutic, and I'll give them out as gifts to people at Christmas, and they love it. They love it because they've all got a different colour. Each colour's got a different essential oil in it, and so you go through different moods whilst you're burning it, and you know the effort that goes into it. So yeah, you know, trying to slow berries are out now, you know, and if you look, I've got an abundance of them. Pay the P&P, whatever it is, and I'll send you a shitload. You know, if you want some Ruth, you let me know, because I owe you one for those lovely berries you sent me. You know, I do like to repay people for kindness. I'm like that, and it should be like that. It should be like that, whether they want it or not. But yeah, I'll take that into account. But so far, I've had no problems. Just remember, it's all about the cooking. It's all about the heat. Now, botulism spores, the actual fungi, it's the bacteria type fungi. It's a weird one, botulism is. The adult version of botulism is, it does still take some killing, you know, it's a tough bastard, but it is doable. But the spores are ridiculously tough. Ridiculously tough. I mean, they really do take some killing. They really do. But how many cases was that again? Over what was that? 14 years? Oh, I can imagine that more people have been killed by literal pianos falling from the sky, you know, like removals type thing, where they've had to get out the window and it's just the rope slipped. I can imagine more people have died from that. So use those physical sensors, sight, smell, taste, if you're a little bit courageous, you know, with a little bit of common sense thrown in there. Having said that, you know, because I'm not a seafood kind of guy, if I was to open, you know, if I didn't know what I know and I was relying on those three sensors, and I cracked open a can of, say, what's that really oily one? The worst one. It's, oh my God. Mackerel. Right? If I opened a can of mackerel and I was like, right, this is best before 2022. Right? So I'll smell it first. Just projectile vomit everywhere. So I can't rely on my sense of smell for that, because it's fucking horrible. But generally speaking, you can trust your sense of smell. You know, if it looks all right, smells all right, generally it's all right. You know, you'll know. Don't waste food. But anyway, going back to the laminate. Right round the town. I need to make sure that I write some stuff down in case of my death, so that my stepson knows not to throw anything away, that this can get you through to the other side of this hill. Because he knows fuck all about fuck all when it comes to stuff like this. Although he does have his mum's common sense. But still, if it says that it's best before, it's way past it, that common sense, it doesn't apply to that sort of thing, you know? He would be thinking, if I eat this, am I going to be scared to fart tomorrow? That's what he'll be thinking. Which with baked beans, it's a given. Oh, the two go hand in hand, you know. I've levitated 25 tog quilts. No, I haven't. Remember, I'm poo shy. I don't really like talking about stuff like this, generally. Unless I'm just having a joke about it. Because I'm just shy like that, you know? It's such a personal thing. And I'm definitely in the minority, because most people, you know, it's a very British thing. It's a very British thing to find it. Well, I think the term toilet humour was coined in the UK, was coined in England. So we started the whole toilet humour thing off. That was ours. We've done a lot in the UK. A lot. Anything that's worth inventing, we invented. Any amazing feat of engineering, we've created. The clocks and watches of every single person in every single country around the world is set to Greenwich Mean Time. We literally own time. Our country is great. It's a beautiful, beautiful country with beautiful, beautiful traditions and beautiful people, you know? And we need to make sure it stays that way. Come hell or high water. It's okay, we have sloes near us. You could make a chutney with the sloes after drinking the gin. Sloe gin chutney. Oh, I don't know about that, Ruth. Because sloes are fucking awful. You know? Because when I realised they were sloe berries, I thought I'd heard of sloe gin and I'd made the connection. I knew that they were connected. So therefore I'm thinking, well, they're obviously edible. Well, you wouldn't put something highly poisonous into an alcoholic drink unless it's someone that you really didn't like. So, of course, I picked one. This is going back about 15 years ago, something like that, maybe a bit longer. Pick one. Like that. Oh, fucked. It was like, wish I hadn't done that. So, but then they make jams again. That's another thing that I need to get. My problem the problem I've got now is that I've got all of these ideas on trying to get by outside of the system. I don't know where to start. you know. There's just so much to do, and not just in this world. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. And yeah, well, they say that a 10,000-mile walk starts with one step, you know. Well, according to the proclaimers, that was 500. There were twins, so that's 500 each. 1,000. Quick maths. Can you imagine having them at a party? But like, sing a song for us. Well, I would drink, all that. All right. Do another one. Well, I would. No. Do another one. That's all we know. Oh, that was a waste of £1,000. So, have you picked any, Ruth? Are you making some chutney? Do you know what? My tomatoes have literally just started to grow. Just. Can you fucking believe that? But the amount of seeds that I bought for next year and the amount of seeds that I've saved from this year, brilliant. I'm all sorted. I have bought a load more tubs because of the whole tobacco thing. Because if I end up selling tobacco plants and selling them as plugs and then selling them as established and then selling the balm or any other nicotine products that I can come up with, I'm going to need to grow a lot of plants, but I can't eat them. So they're all going to have to come indoors. And I've got a lot of configuring to do, a lot. But I've bought some more pots to grow plenty more nicotine tobacco plants in. So I do need to go out and buy some more soil, but then that's it. I've got 3 composters that are all big. All I need to do is just keep taking from the bottom of them each year and then just sprinkling them over the top of the old soil that housed the original plant in that pot. Pull the old dead one out, plant another one. Don't dig it all up. Don't do any of that. My veggie patch is a no-dig veggie patch. You need to keep that permaculture. That's where modern farming is fucking up right now, because that's why you've got no goodness in your veg, in your fruit, in your veg, because you keep ploughing shit up, killing off. I've spent the last 2 years building on that permaculture with your organic volcanic rock dust and wood ash and all manner of stuff to try and build it up. So it's a no dig. Your pots that you're growing vegetables in, they need to be the same, no dig, because you're going to end up with a permaculture. You will, even in a pot. So all you need to do is just make a little hole in the middle, sprinkle some compost from your composter that you got from kitchen scraps that you would have thrown in your brown bin, your garden waste bin, kitchen scraps bin. And just, make your own compost. Throw as much variety in there with soil as well that you can get from your own, anyone's garden, Sometimes it's best to ask them first, But I'm sure you can get some soil from somewhere. But yeah, don't dig it over. Just keep using the same pots and the same soil. But then that little mixture, that liquid stuff that stinks to high heaven, And then there's a really, really nice plant food that you can make, an incredible plant food that you can make from nettles. You know, you just need to let them ferment, and it becomes so concentrated, you'll have a lifetime supply after 1 year, enough for a lifetime. You have to water it down because it's so strong. Nettles. Please get that 101 uses for nettles book, because it's a superfood, you know. How about drying the leaves and then selling the tobacco, Terry? Well, that is part of this, Ruth. That's why I need to grow so many plants. That's why I need to get some more soil in and some more compost in, and then I'm done, because I can keep using the same soil every year, then just top it up with some liquid that I can put on there to just replenish all the nutrients that a plant needs. I've got acidity sticks as well, so I can tell that I can gauge the acidity of the soil and reduce or increase that depending on what the plant is. I've got all sorts of kit now, but the only reason I've got a tobacco plant now is because Michael gave it me, and it was smaller than anything I've got now. So that's what I've been using the tobacco leaves off, because that had a chance to fully mature. All the rest are probably about that high, apart from some of the plugs are about this big, but the ones that I'm growing at the moment are about that big. So by the time I've brought them in, I'll have plenty of tobacco. I've only been able to take one, in short, I've only been able to take off one leaf every time it goes yellow, then wait for the next leaf to go yellow, no green whatsoever, chop that one off, then wait for the next one to go yellow, no green whatsoever. It's a very slow process. And then you've got the curing process that can take days, you know. It might even take longer during winter, because it's just not as warm, and I won't have the heating on all the time. I've had who am I with? Oh, I can't remember who my supplier is now, but again, another increase on last year's fuel costs. Just they're literally pushing us over a barrel. Oh, you fucking won't pay, you fucker. Our fuel costs are higher than anywhere else in the world. Mad. It's utter madness. Yeah, we've got shitloads of coal. We have. I'm telling you. Margaret Thatcher shut those coal mines down for a reason. That was all part of this. They play a long game, right? And that plunged all of those towns and villages. All of my mum's side's from up there, up north, County Durham, around County Durham and that. They were all pits everywhere, and shut them all down. That was it. Just all of these villages, all of these small towns just plunged straight into poverty overnight. Well, there's loads of coal in there still, loads. But they don't want us to have it, because that would have gone against the green agenda. You know, it would have been easier to do it back then than it would have been to do right now. You know, those pieces of the puzzle falling into place. So England's beginning of the green agenda. Remember, the climate change thing's been going on for decades and decades and decades, a very, very, very long time. This was their plan all along. Every bit of infrastructure to fit and make sure that their roadmap goes as smoothly as possible is all in place. They can't deviate away from it. It's climate change, climate change, climate change. That's it. They've spent so long constructing this, they can't deviate away from it. And that believe it or not, that should be their Achilles heel, because we know what they're up to. We know where they're headed. So we should be, it's not difficult for us to start telling people, look, it's, you know, they can't deviate away from that. So yeah, we could open our pits back up. But again, all of the structures around the pits and stuff like that were all torn down, ripped down. You know, the big wheels and stuff like that, they were all melted down, you know. But we've got shitloads of oil and natural gas in the North Sea. Loads. They'll say we haven't. And oil, I remember speaking to a guy who was studying economics, and part of his university course was to look at, you know, what makes, you know, energy is the basis of an economy, a healthy economy, right? And I was saying, well, what happens if we run out of natural gas? He said, we will never run. He was African, so I can't just do a normal voice. I'm Terry, you know, Trapper Terry. We will never run out of gas. That is never going to be a problem. But he also said the same about oil. Now, in a way, he was actually right about that, because oil replenishes itself. It's not a fossil fuel. It's as natural as your blood. In fact, some people call it the blood of the earth, you know, but it does. It replenishes itself like yours does, you know. I mean, a little bit of a cut, little bit of a cut there, fucking cut there. I'm not using that one. Come on, I'm not being rude. It's just that one there. Got a little plaster on it. So whatever blood I lost there, my body will have replenished that by now. And oil and the earth, it's sort of the same thing. I don't quite understand it. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but that is the case. You just don't run out. So these fucking goat herders in the United Emirates, again, you know, some people are like, you can't call them that. Do you know how much power they've got? They could come out, they could kick your back doors in. They could send in some sort of like Islamic crazy fucking hit squad in on you for calling them goat herders. But up until relatively recently, that's what they were. You know, they're like walking along, like keeping an eye on the goats. Yeah, they're all right. I know they're all right because I've just said to them in goat, are you all right? Are you all right? And they all gave me the nod. They're all right, sound. And then all of a sudden, comes across this little blackish sludge coming out of the ground. And he turns around to his mate and he goes, and he goes, swallowed a fly. Before you know it, the fucking multi-millionaires, if not billionaires, with underground garages with £500 million worth of cars under there, from goats to Bugattis, you know, from mud huts to palaces, all because of our oil. So in answer to your question, Ruth, by the way, sorry, was I've only got one adult plant. The rest are becoming adult plants. So I can only dry one leaf at a time. I've got 2 on the go at the moment because it's cooling down. The plant, which is still outside, is thinking, oh, it's getting a bit wintry now. I think I'll just start to die. So it's giving up the leaves a little bit quicker. But the ones I need to bring inside, they all look lush as fuck. But some are going to have to go in the compost. Some are. Well, that's why. But that is the plan going forward. I've got none of those. There won't be a single tobacco leaf that goes to waste. And I've just bought some of the American stuff as well, which is, the dog's bollocks of tobacco. And that'll be probably specifically for smoking. Or, actually smoking, it's just such a waste. I need to do a bit more research. If there's more nicotine in one than the other, then I can use less extract to go into the coconut oil to make the balm, which makes it go further. If that makes sense. So I want to make sure that I get the best quality of everything as a product. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I know that sounds quite sad, but I'm so excited about it because I'm kind of, even if I get just a couple of customers, further down the line, just a few people on the street, it's like, yeah, can I have some more of that? I quite like that. It's all right. And can you get hold of any of that other stuff, that crack, No, I don't fucking do that. Oh, sorry. I'll just take some tobacco then, love. But yeah, even if I just get a few people interested, I'm still going down a completely herbal, natural healing route. And I never ever thought I'd first say that. I'd never thought I'd ever say anything like that. But secondly, now that I have thought about it, and now that I'm kind of making a start on it, and I've done a bit of reading up on it and a bit of studying, it's an absolute no-brainer, because not only is medication going to become more difficult to acquire, and on top of that, the medications that you require are there to manage the symptoms of whatever it is that you've got wrong with you, right? Whatever dis-ease you have. And then that can give you side effects. So they give you another medication to manage the side effects. So you're a lifelong customer. Whereas I'm trying to aim towards products that can just sort you out. And then all you need to do is just be active, get some exercise in, and eat healthily, after that. So hopefully repair people so that they don't come back as a customer. The opposite of what Big Pharma's doing. So yeah, I won't be able to sell them anything anymore, but they won't have to go to Big Pharma anymore, and they might live for an extra 10, 15, 20 years. Just trying to do the right thing, If everyone fucking did that, it's not hard. I'm going to do sea buckthorn gin this year for a change. Is that what it's called? Right. I've mentioned these berries a few times, right? And every single time, Ruth, it's fucking eluded me because it's a berry I've never, ever heard of, I did live near the sea, probably about just under 10 miles away, a place called Peterlee. And we used to go there on our bikes, go to the seaside during the 6 weeks holidays. I don't remember seeing any of that, but then I wasn't looking for it. I was a kid. All I was interested in was seeing the sea, getting to getting to it close as possible and then seeing the sea. You know, that was all I was interested in. So I need to write that down just so I can remember what it is that I'm doing. You making a tincture out of what? That berry. What berry? The yellow one from the sea. I don't know what you're talking about, Terry, and I don't think you do either. Oh, do you know what? There's never a pen around when you need one, even though I've got about, I don't know, 20, 30, something like that, knocking around the house. It's utterly ridiculous. Ruthie, would you mind emailing me the name of this berry, just so that I can open the email, screenshot it, and I've got it there. So ready for when I've got a pen, because I'm going to be making a tincture out of that, which will be very, very powerful. And I just need to know a bit more about it to make it more saleable. I mean, you have to know about what it is you're doing, and you've got to have enthusiasm and faith in what it is you're trying to sell. You know, and I'm not in this to make loads and loads of money. I'm in it for food. That's it. You know, and then there'll be certain customers, hopefully. Just think about these as a future enterprise, but with a difference, because you're doing it to avoid a digital life. So ending up with customers where you can turn around and say, right, look, I'll give you a 2 months supply of whatever it is you've been having, plus this, if you can get me this and this and this, because I can't get it because I've not got a bank account anymore. You know, so build up a customer base and then utilize your customers, and they'll do it. They'll help you because they'll know you're trying to do a good thing. We've got to come up with ways of trying to get around the system just until it cracks, because it will, because people will start to think, hold on a minute, we've gone from me going to see cousin Penelope. I don't know a single fucking Penelope, and I'd be surprised if you do as well. I could see go and see Penelope in Derby a year ago, but now I can't go 15 minutes further than where I live. What's that all about? I used to go away on holiday twice a year, a winter holiday, to get the fuck away from the shit, miserable, damp, dark, cold fucking British winter, to somewhere hot. And then I go away during the summer just so that I can go, what's it like in England? Because it's red hot here. It's raining every day. Now I can only go abroad once every 3 years. And they'll start putting all these restrictions together in their head and thinking, this isn't right. This is fucking wrong. And they'll start snapping out of that lifelong programming they've endured without even realizing it. There are people that have sacrificed so fucking much for so much less than what's happening now. Let that sink in. Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. Calm down, ladies. I don't even know if that was right. Let me turn this kitchen light off. So, when the full gravity of the reality of what's actually happening in this country to what we can still call the norm is at the moment, you know, something will pop in them. Of course it will. I think one thing that when I said that people have sacrificed so much for a lot less than this, back then, when people have done that, it's likely that there was no fluoride in the water, which dumbs people down, which is a fact. It is a known neurotoxin, right? So you take that into account, that people are dumber now, which is reversible. The food that we eat, we are what we eat. There's another problem, and a lot of people, like my next door neighbour, you know, his backyard's just barren. They've made it. It's like, right, shall we make this, all of this, because they've got as big a garden as I have. Should we make this into a fucking oasis of grapevines and potatoes and green beans and apple trees and pear trees and cherry trees and all this fucking shit? Right? Should we turn it into that so we can eat really, really healthy food from the convenience of our own garden? Or should we fucking slab the whole lot to make it easier to clean up after our dog? Guess which one they went for? The reason that we look around and think, hold on a minute, where the fuck did all the common sense go? Are we experiencing a common sense drought at the moment? Or what? Or is it just me? Because I know you're all thinking it, you're all feeling it. You look around and see it on a daily basis. Now that could be a combination of so many different things. One being the water, right, and the fluoride, which is a neurotoxin. Another being pesticides and herbicides that are going on your fruit and veg that have got no nutrition in them because of poor farming practices. In many cases, farmers having how they farm dictated to them by outside people, right? So you can produce more, so that they can then keep their big fat pig fucking leechy investors at bay. Then you've got other things in the water, like the female hormone, which keeps fucking eluding me. Anyway, there's a vast array of things, and I think it's a multi-pronged attack on people's brains, especially the front. That's where all your common sense is, your frontal lobe. And that one as well, right? Which will have different effects on different people and have absolutely no effect whatsoever on others because it was saline, you know? So back when people were digging victory gardens, which was pretty much everyone, because anyone that wasn't digging for victory, right, got shit off their neighbours for being lazy little cunts. It's like, you need to dig your fucking lawn up, Dorothy. Why? I like my lawn. Go away. Why is I harder? Isn't that how they used to talk back then? But that's what they did. They got rid of the lawn, and then they dug for victory gardens all over the country, all over the UK. That's what we did. Now, the food shortages back then were understandable because Europe had just fallen apart, you know. So that would have been a lot of places like you know what I can't remember what Ukraine was before it was Ukraine, but I'm sure some of you will know. But that region of Europe's always been a breadbasket for Europe. Always. It's so fucking fertile. So I can understand like the food shortage situation back then because everything was in turmoil and what used to be farmland was now like bombed and obliterated and burned and, you know. But now, so back then they were able to continue to grow organic veg, and loads of people would have had allotments as well, and very few people would have nicked much stuff. Scrumpers, people who just run through someone's fucking orchard and just grab a couple of pears and a couple of apples, and then they're gone. You know, there's always been people like that around, but generally people didn't steal from each other back then. People left their front doors open. Anyone that was rich enough to have a car back then, within the working class, cars didn't have locks. Anyone could get in that car, you know, and hotwire it, no problem. But it never happened. So yeah, going back to the whole victory garden thing and growing your own food, and everyone was doing that and blah blah blah, and everyone had allotments and blah blah blah. It's very, very different now because we could still get by on the rations that we were given. We could just, but the food shortages that are coming. I mean, the food shortage thing could be prolonged as long as people comply. It's when people stop complying, that'll be their next weapon. You fucking will have it. You know? Which is why we prepare. But there's a lot of people out there, including my next door neighbour, that hasn't got a fucking clue. They haven't got a clue. They can't see any of this shit coming. Oh, it's all back to normal now. I'm glad that COVID thing's over. Oh, dear. I'm just going to top my drink up. You know, so many people don't realise just how small a margin of people in the UK is required to turn this around. It's loads smaller than people think. And and I don't mean getting physical either. I'm talking about just literally just saying no and meaning it. And they'll all be armed with threats. Well, if you don't, you could go to jail. Well, if you don't, we could take your house. Well, if you don't, we could take your kids. Fear, 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 fear. It's what they do. It's a very, very efficient, very, very effective tool for control. and we all know that. So I've started to feel a little bit fresh, you know. Again, whatever the government tells you, there's probably an element of truth in there, just a little noggin of truth, but it will also, in some way or another, be the opposite, right? So if they turn around and say, right, we've got global warming coming, the global warming, then they tried global boiling. Fucking hell, what a tard. So I think we can assume that it's actually global cooling. So, but the noggin of truth in the middle of all that is that there is climate change. So climate change is real, right? But it's not how they're saying it's real. And it's got nothing to do with us. It's not man-made. We're not speeding shit up. It's just natural. It's natural. So you can stick as many windmills up and wave energy generating machines and solar panel farms and whatever you want to do. It won't make any fucking difference. But we've survived many ice ages before, which is pretty much what's coming. In relatively recent history, the Thames, the mighty fucking Thames, has frozen over. There's market stalls and people fucking ice skating around on the Thames. It was that thick. And this is running water that's got quite a current to it. But I think we can all safely assume that we had nowhere near the population of people on the planet back then as we have now. So they could have probably managed to grow some really tough vegetables in the country, and there would have been a lot of merchant ships by then, and bringing food in. So we could have and then England was conquering a lot of fucking countries back then, so they're going to want to look after their own before they look after the people we've just stolen the food from. That was the way it was. Again, you're not getting any fucking reparations from me. I didn't do anything. You can fuck off. But this is different. Even as early as 1850, which was a blink of an eye in the grand scheme of things. In 1850, there was estimated to be 1 billion people on the planet. So in 175 years? Is that right? We're going to 8.5 or 8.6 billion. But then, it is there. I've not gone around counting them. And on top of the fact that whenever they try and push their agenda, they show you stuff on mainstream TV and a lot of bought and paid for YouTube channels and bought and paid for other channels, on other platforms as well. We know who they are. They show you footage of kind of the Mumbai and Tokyo and really, really busy capitals, massively busy, and other places where they've got a very, very, very big concentration of people in a relatively small space. And they just do take loads and loads of footage of that, and then add extra filters to make the pollution look way worse. And they're all psyops. It's all a head fuck. We don't really know how many people are on this planet. Hello, Sal Mishra. Oh, welcome to the party, sweetheart. It's a Wednesday. I can't think of any other word than party. So party will do. I hope you're all right, darling. So with these potential food, if everyone starts to go, all right, we've had enough now, right? It's like, oh, we can't have any more food, right? Control the food, you control the people. And that'll be a point where the wheat is separated from the chaff. The chaff can fuck off. I want the wheat by my side so we can fucking deal with this. You know? But I do think that they've got lots of you know, if was that a pen? No. Right, so we'll get, if they get too quite bad, you know, then we've got this, right? And then that should stop them. But if it doesn't, then we've got this one here. And if they smash through that, which is unlikely, then we've got that. And whoever's left after that has got to get through that. Blah blah blah. But they're very blinkered in their approach to everything because they're very different to us. They're not normal people. They don't think like we think. They're fucked in the head. They really are fucked in the head. So because they've got this blinkered approach, this is my aim, this is what I've got to do, you know, and they don't feel any compassion or, you know, empathy or consideration or courtesy or any of those nice traits that we've got. They're blinkered. That's it. Right? It doesn't matter. Let them die. Let them die. We need to get this done. Let them die as well. You know, got to get this done. That's how they are. All of them. And it's because they've got this really blinkered approach towards achieving Agenda 2030. That gives us loads of room to maneuver because we're creative people and brave. You know, you put creativity and courage together. That's a marriage made in heaven. Courage and creativity. You put those two things together, and what's that? What are those two? There's two things that are separate. You can do whatever you can, bang them around, do whatever you want, right? You put them together and bang them, and it will just blow your hands off and blow your fucking house off. Same thing. So, although we've got some potentially seriously difficult times ahead of us, it doesn't really, don't allow that to phase you, because it's when you really think about it, when you really, you know, properly think about it, when it's quiet and you're on your own, have a really good think about it. We've got so many advantages, it's ridiculous. Hello, Jenny. We've got a lurker. I don't know which one I prefer. I think the cat one. I'm not a cat man. I'm not really a cat man. But that was the original one. Welcome to the chat, Jenny. Jenny's an Irish lass, and yeah, I can see. I got very concerned about Ireland, and I still am. And I'm not on about Northern Ireland. Jenny's from Ireland, the Emerald Island. So, although I am still very concerned about Ireland, because it can't. There's so much so much rural space in Ireland, yet the amount of cockroaches that are over there is off the charts. So they're all concentrated. And up until about, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years ago, Dublin was on my bucket list. You know, you have these kind of, you romanticize about these ideas in your head of fiery haired or black haired beautiful women like stood on bar tables doing like a river dance whilst you've got some bloke in the background playing a fiddle in a Dublin pub down some dark alleyway. That's fucking heaven for me. That would have been the draw. And Dublin, just Dublin as a city, it's just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. So that was on my bucket list. But I've seen so many videos now of tourists and Irish men and women that are filming going through Dublin, and it's like a fucking third world country, you know. Oh dear. And then on top of that, in Ireland, for some strange reason, more than England, even though we've definitely got more than they have, but as far as Romas are concerned, Roma gypsies, they're some of the dodgiest bunches of bastards in the world, and that could be considered, that statement, that one statement could be considered a racist comment. It really could, but it's the truth. And Ireland's got a really, really bad problem with Roma gypsies. Oh, what have I done? Right, it's all right, it's gone. It's gone. But hey, Jenny, what do you think about Trump's comments about immigration here in the UK? I think that Trump is basically trying to sort of give people definitely from the UK and maybe some of Europe, maybe a little bit in Australia and other English-speaking countries as well. Just the kind of, maybe Trump can save us. You know, it's all part of the psyop. You know, I need a hero. Fucking hell. So that's Trump. That's a combination of Trump pretty much saying stuff that's within the boundaries of what he's meant to say, right? With a big chunk of his absolutely his fucking Jupiter-sized ego. A combination of the two. But he is towing the line. And he's towing the line because they've got dirt on him. Just like Kennedy. He's basically just saying look, as not all of the most recent elections, that the saying that everybody's heard, how do you know when a politician's lying? And I don't even need to tell you the punchline because you know what it is. You know, Trump's no different. In order to maintain control, or for his puppet masters to maintain control, they need to make sure that he says what they want him to say, or within certain parameters. He might deviate a little bit here and there, but that's because that's when people say that he's the Trump card, right? So there is that element about him that his ego is so off the fucking charts that sometimes he gets a bit carried away, and he might kind of like, you know, and just maybe say something now and then, but not very often. Pretty much 95% of what he says is what he's been made to say, or within those parameters of where he can go with what he's saying. You know, it's all a circus. And even when you start looking at Sad IQ Khan and him slagging him off, that again, that's all part of that ties in with the Tommy Robinson thing, the race baiting thing. Even though I openly admit, you know, and I've said they've got their profit is a nonce, you know, and that their way of thinking is backwards because they don't treat their women as equals. You know, the list goes on and on and on. I'll never ever backtrack on any of that ever. Right. So I am not a fucking fan of Islam at all. Right. And it's an issue. It's a fucking problem. So one of Tommy's jobs is to pit Islam against us. Right. And Trump saying that about Sad IQ Khan, is sort of the same sort of thing, carries just as much weight to push us into civil war so that they can bring in whatever it is that they've got next, you know? But I've also said before, I can't see any other way around it apart from maybe very very covert and very discreet militias and yeah, there'll be absolutely that would be way more efficient, and it couldn't warrant the government to bring in whatever that is that they've got next for us. It couldn't warrant that because it's just militias, unknown militias, right? So if they do decide to bring in some sort of really serious, hardcore, draconian measure, like these cockroaches in blue hats, in Humvees, patrolling the streets with AKs, the people will be thinking, well, hold on, what the fuck's this for? What are you doing? Before you know it, you've got an entire fucking nation coming down on these people that know the land, that know the streets, you know, that have an IQ on average of between 40 and 50 higher than theirs, right? So you take all these things into account, you know, yeah, they can start bringing drones out and stuff like that to surveil the skies. They can be taken out. And again, this isn't me inciting violence. This is me saying, fuck yourself if you want to try and take away my freedom. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. You just need to have faith in you. It's hard sometimes because we go online and we just think, oh, what a fucking tard. Oh, what a tard. What a tard. It's so easy to fall into that trap, you know? And that's sort of kind of a big chunk of their plan is more and more and more division, you know? And it gets difficult when you go to these marches, for example, because I go on about the leftards, right? So on the left, you really have got people that are unhinged. The majority of them are. Yet I don't think I'm unhinged. I think I'm pretty sane, you know, pretty lateral thinking, and you know, so I interact with people that are considered to be far right, but are just not necessarily right or far right. They're just concerned, you know, for the kids. Oh, fucking hell, I've forgotten where I was going with that. And they reckon that EMF signals can do that to your brain, where you, whatever it is, it's gone. Yeah, so anyway, the left and the right paradigm thing, you know, there are going to be people on the left, there are going to be people on the right that have got almost no differences, you know, just one difference. It's like, look, why can't we all just get along? And then someone on the right, yeah, why can't we just get along? Almost like a modern day version of that Christmas Day where the German soldiers and the British soldiers met in the middle, played football on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, you know, and realised that they were the same. They were all the same, showing each other, this is my missus, this is my missus. No need for language. There's a universal language of love. So there are a lot of people on the left-hand side that aren't reachable because they are so far gone. And I've been to so many marches and so many protests now that I've seen it, I've felt it. There's absolutely no way of getting through to some of these people. The only way that some of these women in particular are ever going to be able to realise the risk that they're under or in is for that to happen to them. And, you know, fill in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? They'll soon fucking jump over the other side of the road after that. But it would be good if we can try and meet them somewhere in the middle. But then, would I want anyone on my side of the road who isn't unhinged, but is just there because they've been paid 60 quid to hold this placard for 4 hours, 5 hours, 60 quid. When they're on their arse, they've had the benefits taken away because they don't cough hard enough and they can't afford to pay the rent anymore. See, I've been in a position where I've had nothing, not even a roof over my head. I never caved in, you know, I never caved in. So you've got to have principles in life, and it's the same as I posted on earlier on. There's a butcher's in Long Eaton in my town centre that's been there. I used to knock around with his lad. His lad was all right, you know. And when his dad was away, we used to go to his dad's house. His dad's house was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. His kitchen was bigger than my dining room, my bathroom, and my kitchen, all knocked out into one, with a big island in the middle, with all like copper pans and stuff like that. Big fucking auger. It was massive. You know, the kitchen alone could, you know, I could live in that and still have room. You know, he had an indoor swimming pool. indoor sauna, jacuzzi. It was fucking massive, and it was set in acres of land. Anyway, right. So I used to rock around with his son. Now he's selling up. He's been offered Wonga, good Wonga, to sell the last butchers, the last independent butchers on the high street of Long Eaton, so that it can be turned into a HMO. You know, a fucking traitor, a fucking traitor. I understand that people are getting desperate. I've been desperate. I never ever went against my principles. Right? I've been in situations where I could have done that and zip straight out, no problem. But because of my conscience, you know, fucking people, and that, you know, I haven't got a price. I haven't got a price. I've said that for years. I never have, and I never will. Principles are principles, and they are not principles unless you're prepared to die by them. And if you're not prepared to die by them, then they're just words. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. That's all it is. It's not a principle, you know. Learn what a fucking principle is. So yeah, that's pissed me off. But at least we know it's going to be a HMO. At least we know. And the meat was shit anyway. You don't end up with a mansion like that with a big. And I'm not talking about a little, you know, couple of, because my style's my style in swimming is doggy paddle, you know, nice and masculine. So we're not talking like 5 meters and then turn around and 5 meters. I mean, this fucking pool was massive, massive. So you don't end up with wealth like that from selling prime meat, you know, and having a staff of like 6 people and a shop and the overheads for the shop from selling quality meat. You know, people, there are some good butchers out there. There are. But there again, like in any other line of work, there are people that it's all about the bottom line. It's all about the profit. It's not about the customer service. It's not about your approach. It's not about the same as last week. You know, I know. Oh, I've got something nice for you. You know, that personal touch. That's the kind of butchers you want to try and keep alive as much as you can. But Walker's in Long Eaton. He had 3 butchers at the time. I don't know if he still got them. There's another one in Beeston. I can't remember where the other one was, but that one in Long Eaton's been there since I moved here. And that was in 1992. So I said that like it was a question. It's like I've got all these people going, how the fuck am I supposed to know when you move to Long Eaton? So it's very established, you know, and trusted, and people go there. It's like a butcher's version of the post office, and they've sold out to England. They've sold out to you, even though you don't live here. You don't need to say it loud. You don't need to say it clear to know that these aren't refugees and they are not welcome here. And I think that over a very short period of time, that it's quite likely that they're not going to be made to feel very welcome here. And I also think it's only a matter of time before people start doxing. And look, you know, this is just me trying to read the room of what's happening around us. That's all. Of people doxing police officers' houses. You know, when we start to and judges. So dishing out just like, okay, sweep the street for a week, a whole week, mind you, a whole week with a stupid wig on, you know, because you shouldn't have raped those 3 children. It's naughty. I know it's part of your religion. That's why I'm just saying sweep the streets for a week, right? White man does that, 15 years. So we're all seeing these really, really serious, significant imbalances in justice, which coined the term two-tier policing, two-tier Kia, and rightfully so, and because that's all we're seeing. But again, that is part of this. That is part of this psyop. They want us to go to war against the cockroaches, and I won't call them anything else. The cockroaches and Islam, you know, and we do have the numbers to do it and complete the job. We do, but that is exactly what they want. But I also think that what they want is also beatable as well. So I've got Zephyr making noises in the background saying a little bit like, I'm thinking, is that a border terrier or the cat out of Charlie Says? Well, I think she needs a wee, and so do I. As that sellout wanker shit actor with an IQ of about 3, Arnie Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. We'll do a wee. Zephyr. Bear with me, guys. She's doing a doggy version of taking the piss. This is Channel 4 News. You have to excuse these two gentlemen either side of me. It's all part of the job. Oh God, it would be even funnier if it wasn't true. Anyway, yeah, he's no hero. In the movie Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage from 1998, is that how long ago that was? That? Oh my God. Does anyone else think the time is really, really speeding up, you know? Charles Kirkland got assassinated on September the 10th through the neck. Interesting. There's a blonde woman wearing white. The shooter's last name was Tyler. How does Tyler tie him with that? Either way, Jenny, you know, look, I know I said that I thought that it might have been a fake. I know that I said that it might have been all some elaborate thing and it is actually still alive. And I fucking stand by that. I stand by it. I'm 100% convinced that that was just an elaborate psyop. And clever enough to make people initially think, well, he must be dead and Israel's got to be behind it because he started speaking out about Israel. Again, he was only saying a few little bits here and there, just a few little bits, nothing like he wasn't saying the IDF have been chopping babies in half and hanging them from lampposts and beheading them and swinging the heads around, and which has all been caught. You know, the mentality of the Indian. It's like, mate, this is going onto the internet. Do you understand how that works, or no? Hello, I want to kill. No. Hello, I want to kill. Fuck me. So he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything particularly game changing that would have affected the world as far as Israel's grip. Well, not so much Israel, but oh my gosh. So he just said a few little bits in order to get the people thinking that it was either Mossad that had gotten in, you know, that had sort of joined with the CIA and come up with this elaborate thing with loads of people doing loads of different things. You know, people jumping off roofs and some old guy going, shoot me, and some other guy behind him going, and another guy going like that, and then another bloke with a mobile phone going, because these there is a mobile phone gun that it just looks like you're just looking at your phone, swiping, you aim it, and the gun bit is in this hand. So all they're seeing is you swiping a phone. They exist. There's a video came out about 9 years with one of those things. Mad. So they've got people thinking, is it Israel that's killed him because of what he said? Or is it Israel that saved him? You know, I've got pictures in my head now of Kirk and Epstein kicking back in a brand new fucking almost adjoining super villa on the beach of northern Gaza, where it's starting to be built up into a very nice new beautiful for the super rich haven, because it is. But it throws confusion out there. So you've got people that think that he was just assassinated by some moron. I'm so glad that no one actually, when I put that poll out in the post section, I'm glad no one clicked on that. You know, there's some fucking hope. But there are a lot of people out there that still think that. And then you've got people that believe the majority of the people that took, there was only 11 people that took part in that, which is a shame. I could repost it. And then there were people that thought that he'd been killed as part of an agenda to move forward. And I'm assuming that most people thought that the same as me, would have thought that agenda was to disarm America. The next one was it was a hoax. He's still alive, but there's still an agenda, which is my take on that. That his death was faked in order to, again, to disarm America. And the fourth option was unsure. And there was a few people in that as well. So, but just for the record, these polls are completely and totally, well, I don't know if YouTube can see them, if Google can see them, but I certainly can't see who put what. I've got no idea, but it was interesting. But yeah, I can picture him and Epstein kicking back with a brewski on the beach in the built-up posh part of northern Gaza. Like, wow, that was a buzz, man. Apparently, there was a Charlie Kirk concert. You know, can you imagine Charlie Kirk now be like, wow. Well, I'll be fucked. I could only dream as a 13-year-old guy, a 13-year-old boy, that I would have one day a bank holiday in my name, Charlie Kirk Day. When it's not even my real name. These guys are fucking stupid. People from him all the way up to the top of whatever is at the pinnacle of that pyramid, right, are laughing their fucking tits off at you and me. But yeah, I am 100% certain that he's not dead. He's not dead, you know. And I go on to all of these, and again, the point I'm trying to make is that, again, it's another form of division. It's another type of division. It's more division. So now we've got people that are convinced that it wasn't just some nut job. Let's forget about all the other elements. Let's take it down to just two. It was a nut job, crazed, you know, LGBTQ, whatever they are, or it was an assassination by Israel. Either way, he died. You know, that's a left-right paradigm right there. That's more division. This is what they do. It's division within division. then subdivision, then subdivision of that, subdivision of that, then subdivision and subdivision and subdivision of that, and the same again, until it's just separated us so fucking completely that we're just powerless as society. We can't allow that to happen. We've got to stay on the ball. We really have. If you want to live, come with me if you want to live. Oh my gosh. Got a fucking laugh. Tyler Robinson was the recent shooter. Yeah, I remember the name, but I'm trying to work out how that ties in with Snake Eyes. Or was the shoot? Oh, the shooter in the film was called Tyler. Oh, do you know what? There are so many fucking really, really weird coincidences. So many. So even the baseball caps. So we know that it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is there are just so many things, right? To the point where it can't be down to, you can't put all these things down to coincidence. It's like, hold on, those 18 pieces of this puzzle, of this 200 puzzle that I've bought, these 18 pieces that slot together and all look right can't be right. That's what it's like to me. You know, to the point where I'm thinking I can't figure out why everyone's not seeing what I'm seeing, you know. But then I've had loads of people point out stuff to me, you know. But I'm dead set on this, and that is not going to change, because I've seen what I've seen. Once you've seen it all in the right order, all put together. And again, I know that I said in the past, look, I know that I said, if you look for something hard enough, you'll find what it is you're looking for. But what you're looking for is what you want to see, and what you want to see isn't necessarily the truth. That doesn't apply to this. I'm aware of what I said. I've analysed the fuck out of me way more than you have, believe me. And yeah, I am absolutely steadfast in that. Whether I get an opportunity to turn around and go, see, I tried to tell you, I'm not a nut job, you know. Well, the chances of that sort of anything like that coming to the surface is. But more and more and more people are starting to point out loads of other inconsistencies that I didn't even think of, and I'd picked up on shitloads, not just from my own observations, but from loads of other people's as well. And there are still more observations, more and more people pointing out more and more things on a daily basis. And you put it all together, and it just reinforces what I'm. But we've all got our own minds, haven't we? Even though it is fake as fuck, the film is typical predictive programming. Part of the movie was shot at Trump Taj Mahal Hotel in Atlantic City. Oh, you know, the little connections. There are connections like here, there, and everywhere. That when you put them together, really, as a sequence of impossibility after semi-impossibility that ties in with semi-impossibility makes pretty much an impossibility. Then you've got, if you imagine 10 or 20 or 30 of them, it's up there in the trillions to be a coincidence, you know. It does feel like there is some sort of rule of engagement, where they've got to show their hand. You know, they've got to leave a calling card or a warning or whatever. You know, it just feels like there is like a game going on here. But they can see everything, their side, whilst monitoring the fuck out of our side. Yet we're not all seeing everything on their side, and we've got no way of monitoring their side at all. But we're still going to win. I said on Friday night, and I'll say it again, just to make sure. So I'm just moving around because smoke's getting right in my eyes. Look at it this way, right? So I don't think we've ever been through anything quite like this before in human history. I don't think so. Not quite like this, right? But I do think we've been through similar events throughout history, however far back that goes, right? Wars against, you know, dark versus light, dark versus light, dark versus light, dark light versus light, throughout, for an eternity, you know? The yin yang, you know, just that balance, a constant flux of dark trying to win over light, light trying to win over dark, that constant flux. And I think it's been like that forever. Now, if historically the dark is won over light, then we wouldn't be sat here talking. We wouldn't be having this conversation. It would be either we're all gone and we just, it's a planet that's just a burnt wasteland, you know, completely devoid of life, or we'd be living in some sort of Orwell's 1984 nightmare. Hold on a minute. I'm only joking. We're not there yet. And that's my point. So if we had been there, at some point, light won to give us our freedoms. But then when you look at freedom, when you look at our freedoms and look at freedom, peasants have always been the slave class. But I still think light's always beaten dark. I do. But this is on another fucking level, to the point where even the freedoms of the peasant class, that I was quite happy being working class, because you stay grounded, you stay more connected to nature, more connected to reality, the reality of life. The more money you've got, you know, like the Rockefeller, all of the big families, you know, the big families, right? They've never wanted for anything for centuries, maybe even thousands of years. So I'm happy to be humble and skint, you know. I'm not really keen on the word peasant. I don't really want to be called a peasant. There's worse things to be called, you know. When someone calls you you're a fucking maggot. You are a maggot. No one's ever said that to me, but it would annoy me. Watch someone say it in there. Terry, you're a maggot. No. Just turn this off and go to bed. But I think we're in a situation now where the peasants, because we've had peasant revolts in history, right? But they ultimately returned back to becoming peasants again. You know, I think this time around, there'll be no peasants. No peasants. Did you doze off, Salmishra? Am I boring you? Am I boring you? Am I? Do you feel bad? Have you woke up or have you dozed back off again? I don't know. Good, good. I'm glad you're still there. Again, this reverts back to courage and creativity. It doesn't take much to put those two things together, you know, and you've got quite a formidable fucking force right there, you know, because creativity is and of itself creativity. So when you think outside the box, you're being creative. And when you think outside the box, your opponent or enemy, especially if they've got a low IQ, they're not going to be thinking outside the box. They'll be very regimented, you know? And yeah, please believe me, we're going to win this. But it's going to take everything you've got, but it will all be worth it. It will. You see, every now and then I'll watch a few little videos of people, communities coming together after being bombed to fuck, right? And communities coming together in they've got loads of really long lines of neighbours just passing bricks and slabs and bits of this and bits of metal and blah blah blah, just passing it along and just putting it into a pile so they can get to see if there's anyone in there and get them out, try and see if they can save them and stuff like that, you know. And then loads of places around the places that weren't bombed so much, where people were at victory gardens and were growing their own organic food and blah blah blah. Nothing was going to waste. People that had horses, which was a lot of people back then, you know, saving the manure up. Nothing was going to waste. Nothing. It was a very mend and make do type time as well. It was like, you got an hole in your socks. Oh, throw them away. You've got more. I bought you 75 pairs of socks for Christmas. Remember? You know, no, because that pair of socks with that hole that's that big is 98% perfect. You know, just repair it. So it was a mend and make do kind of era as well. So, but the way that communities came together and the way that people were starting to grow their own food and not waste stuff, that's the kind of future that I'd like. And I think it's quite possible that that's what we'll end up with, which is lovely. If anything was ever worth fighting for, to get us back to like a simple life without loads of fucking headache, you know, and self-sufficient, you know, to the point where, again, you're going to end up with cunts, but we deal with them as a community properly, you know, lots of incentives not to be a cunt, lots of rewards for just helping out, you know. They say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. His birthday was the day before mine. And there are a lot of people out there that say that what you kind of visualize or whatever your brain interprets as reality, or it can manifest into reality. So I thought, for me, have I manifested the biggest fucking psyop in human history? Because I don't remember wanting this. But then I have had moments where I've been out and about, and I've had just like, beautiful surrounding, just kind of in the middle of completely enveloped in nature, and all of a sudden a fucking coachload of people that aren't from this country just turn up, and I had these thoughts back then of thinking, I wish I had the world to myself. It makes me. I have had wonders. I've had thoughts. Again, what's happening is quite profound, to the point where it starts to make us think in profound ways. And I personally see that as a really healthy thing. If you think profoundly, it's not a bad thing. Oh, it's Dave up north. Hey up, Dave up north. How you going on, mate? You all right? Thanks for joining us. We're not going to make it. We'll take it up to midnight, and we'll cut it off at that, because I know that it's a school night, and I know you guys have got shit to do. I do try and be mindful of that. On a Friday night, I don't really give a fuck, really. Not really, because it's a Friday night. Some people are unfortunate. In fact, more people than I'd be over the moon about working on a Saturday just to make sure they keep pay the rent. But a lot of people, Friday nights. I can't do Saturday nights because I end up on a Saturday morning. I think, should I go to the caravan? So. Yeah, I do try to be mindful. Yeah, good on you, brother. Good on you. Yeah, this is Northern Dave from down south. Yeah, that's how we roll. He wants to be normal. So with the whole me doing, to anyone that's kind of been on this journey with me, and I've been on this journey with you as well. We are intertwined. We are. Will know that I've in what 5 years of the channel, and about 530 odd videos. Check. Go back and check. I've never done 3 consecutive prepping food hauls before. That's a first. So all I'm saying is, if I've been jolted into doing that, please consider jolting yourself into doing the same. Because as they say in Jamaica, apparently I've never been to Jamaica. I've never had the wonga to go to Jamaica. But there is something that they do say over there. And it's something along the lines of Wagwan. Wagwan. Which I interpreted as, what's going on? But I prefer Wagwan. Me and Sal used to say that, it was just when you have these silly little things with your other half, and then sometimes you end up parting for whatever reason, and then you find new little ways with each other and new little ways with the next one. It would be nice for people to find their lifelong partner first time around and just grow together perfectly. But life's just not like that, is it? It takes work. You got some quality items this week. My stash is slowly growing. Good, Dave, mate. Whatever. Look, if you can afford it, really go for it. Really fucking go for it. You know, especially rice, loads and loads and loads and loads of rice. Preferably basmati because it cooks quicker. You know, you use less fuel, right? So basmati, and as many different types of bean as you can find, you know, and then start to look. Just type in something like, because Google is good for some things, you know, but it still needs to be punished. You know, it's done some fucking damage. But not to go off subject, because I'm a fucker for that. Just type in something like top 10 most beneficial beans, right? And then look for all of those beans in all of your local supermarkets. You know, as much as we want them shut down and our high streets back, just go and find them. Go and find them. Whatever you can't find, if you know a place where there's like an Asian market or something, they have some good shit in there. They've got the uses. Or if you can't find them in any shops or anything like that, get looking online and start ordering them online in bulk, right? And then buy some resealable plastic tubs, right, that are tamper-proof, so they're airtight. Chuck loads of moisture absorbers in there. Put all of your stuff in there, complete in their bags still, you know, if you want. That's what I've done a lot of, right? The packaging, after about 10 years, the packaging around, you know, your rice and stuff like that, it's going to start to degrade. And that could be a problem further down the line. But I'm on about, if you're in a mad rush for building up a shitload of food quickly, rice and beans, rice and beans, rice and beans, rice and beans, and then shitloads of salt, good salt, quality salt, and then just build around it. What can I add to rice? And pasta, loads of pasta. If you've got a farm foods near you, get those big family packs of pasta. Stack them high, stick them in your fucking boot, get them home, stick them in your loft. You know? Buy whilst you can. Because it'll get you away from any chaos outside your front door. You know? Hunker down. That's what we all need to be doing. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So that we can hunker down until the chaos has eased up a little bit. You know, by then we'll have a rough idea of what's what. I mean, another top up. I don't usually drink during the week. In fact, I don't. So I'm going to call today. You know how Charlie Kirk's got a bank holiday named after him, Charlie Kirk Day, which is just not right. It's not right because it didn't happen. So it doesn't deserve a bank holiday. Now, because I don't drink on a Wednesday, I'm going to call it Wankered Wednesday, because that's what I'll be by the end of this live stream. You know? No, I won't. I can set my pot up. See, I first started drinking when my mum thought, do you know what? Cider is cheaper than formula. No, she wasn't like that, guys. But she did get pissed while she was drunk, while she was pregnant with me. and she smoked like a chimney. You know, I'm glad I don't take after her. I feel like munching into some of those whole chestnuts, and then I thought to myself, it says whole chestnuts on the pack, right? Wouldn't it be hilarious if next to all the packs where it says whole chestnuts, right, there was another rack of packets that said just the skin. Oh dear. Do you know what? And I don't think this is isolated at all. There are lots of us, right, that are starting to begin to laugh a bit more than we have for quite some time, and more regularly, which is bizarre when you take into consideration that everything is actually getting way, way worse, right? I'm not ending this on a negative, don't worry. So that just goes to show that the curve of you as a person, as a woman or a man, not a person, right, has just become more and more just versatile. You know, you're able to take the licks, you're able to take the information in more and more easier, to the point where you're building up such a tolerance for it that you're able to take it in your stride, feel occasional senses of concern from time to time, you know, which is only human, but still managing to laugh more often. You know, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's happening to me. And yeah, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, I didn't. So it just goes to show, right, that you can get knocked and smashed and hit and punched and kicked and get up again. You know, it says a hell of a lot about who you are. And you just, I don't think any of you probably give yourself any credit for it. So let me. You know, when you really start thinking about what you know, the last 5.5 years, you know, when you really just, because I'm sure from time to time you all do, I know I do, and and then you start to really comprehend it all, you know, it's fucking mental. But my heart does go out to people that are just starting to come around to all this now. If they're having to take on everything that we kind of, the average person, a bit like us, 5.5 years ago, then add everything that's happened over the last 5.5 years and make that make sense to someone that's completely oblivious to all of this, right? And embed that into their minds, right? I don't think a lot of people would recover from that. And I mean that. I think one of the reasons that we've recovered and are continuing to thrive, not just survive already, 90% mental, remember. But I think the vast majority of people out there would just, their knees would buckle or they'd just tap out. Yet here you are, you know? Here we are. So if you can, you know, if you can pull off one of the most intense black ops psyop in recorded human history, that's some fucking achievement. It is, and still maintain your fucking course throughout that. I think it's so fucking impressive, you know. So you end up feeling quite privileged to be communicating with people that have been on that journey, you know, with you. It's so lovely. It's so lovely. You know, this is very unique. This I've never come across anything like this before. Not on YouTube. And we built this. But yeah, I think anyone that's got anyone that's not got any concerns moving forward, give your head a wobble, because there are, right? But I would say the same to anyone that would say we can't get through this. I'd say give your fucking head a wobble, because we can. And like I said, I'm not an optimist at all. I'm not. I'm just a thinker. I'm not a pessimist, you know. I don't go around pissing on people's bonfires. I think sometimes I do, but not. I don't mean to. Sometimes I do. Actually, sometimes I do, because it falls under the tough. Sometimes it falls under the tough love category. And going back to, you know, the fact that the truth is sometimes is usually uncomfortable, you know. But some people need to hear the truth. It's just that I need to work on my timing. I mean, when you sat around a big table with your in-laws, right, and everyone's tucking into Christmas dinner, it's like, this chicken's perfect, Margaret. Perfect. It's falling apart in my mouth. Oh, thank you, T. All right, thank you. You know, CBDCs. So after an hour, you've got like 10 cold plates of dinner, complete silence. For the record, I've never done that, but I've been tempted, because I'm sure some of you have. Just catch up on the comments. Sorry guys, I get a little bit carried away. I don't want to work anymore, but getting what I can when I can. Yeah, do you just do your absolute best, Dave? And if you've got any friends that owe you a favour or are just friends, get them to go out and, you know, if they're doing some shopping, get some shopping for you, you know, just to save you on, you know, shelling out for petrol or bus fare or whatever, you know. What goes around comes around, because you being here, I'm sure you're a proper nice bloke, so you'd be an asset as a friend to people. So if they've got the physical ability to help you out by getting some shopping in for you to make it a bit easier for you, then they should. If everyone gave, imagine. Should help prolong the lifespan of the stuff. Oh my God, I've got no idea what that was in relation to. I do apologise, mate. Laughter is medicine for the body and mind. It is, and music. Yeah, laughter and music. You know, laughter, music, and nature are the three top number one antidepressants for me. They are. Because they work 100% of the time if you give it a chance. I was very fortunate that I became friends with a very intelligent man in the mid-90s. He helped me wake up. You see, this is what I'm saying, and I think I might have touched on this last week or last Friday. Is that you can go to a bar, just walk a random bar, right, and just order a Guinness, which is a patient man's drink, because it needs to settle, you know. So you're waiting for your Guinness, and you have a 30-second conversation with someone you've never met before, right, and you'll never meet again ever for the rest of your life, however long that is. And that 30%, that 30-second shallow conversation, right, can end up changing your life forever. Just a nudge, just altering the way that you think, just a tiny little bit, just a little tiny nudge, you know. And before you know it, it's altered the course. But then you've got this. People have got theories of lots and lots of different moments leading off from that moment, and lots of moments leading off from, like, loads of parallel shit going on, and I find that quite interesting. You know, there's so much about this world that we don't understand, and there's so much information out there that's being withheld from us. So can you imagine a world where we manage to get hold of that information? Can you imagine that? It would change everything, because it is out there. It is. I'm telling you, this tech that we could dream of. Yeah, we really could. And it shouldn't be just privy to a relatively small amount of people. It should be about the betterment of mankind. But unfortunately, what happens is, when people come up with a source of control, anything that's significantly, profoundly going to affect humanity on a mass scale in a positive way, it's always weaponized, always. And I think we're headed towards a world where that changes. You see, I don't know what about history is true and what isn't anymore. And there's just so much information being pushed out. lots of counter information being pushed out to the internet. There's so much. It's a bombardment of information, and that's all part of this. You know, it's absolutely 100% part of it, because it's in the CIA handbook and MI6. You know, it's keep everyone just looking everywhere instead of focusing there. But then I think a lot of you guys are good at picking up on that, you know, based on the information you've sent me and we've shared. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look how powerful we are as even a small collective, just a little small collective. We might be small, but we're fucking big, really. We're not what they want. Definitely, we've lost half our senses in Western society. We try and talk with most people about, and they think you're nuts long. They do. But you know what? I've gotten over that now. I think I did go through a little bit of a phase where I was like, maybe not softening up, but to the point where there were so many people, so many, telling me that what I was saying and what I was thinking was wrong, to the point where I started questioning whether I was fucking right. You know, it didn't last very long. Maybe, I don't know, 700-800 seconds. Because after that, when you know, you know. When you know. It's a fucking knowing. It's a knowing. And that knowing is more than one of our 5 senses, you know, traditional physical senses. That knowing. Again, this is why I say have faith in yourself, and trust yourself, and have faith in yourself. Follow your instincts. That's what they're there for. And I don't think everyone's got them. I really don't. So that makes you quite rare, you know, and rare in a beautiful way. So just use it for the good, you know, and it will guide you. It will. Again, look at what we know. And like Dave from up north has just said, you know, people think and thought we were nuts when we're probably the most sane people on the fucking planet right now. You couldn't make this shit up. You really couldn't make this shit up. Welcome to 2025. See, do you know what? I thought I never celebrated my 50th because it was the same year as Sal dying. So I just fucking. But that was never how I ever imagined I would spend my 50th birthday. Being completely and totally cocooned away from everything and everyone. I imagined my 50th to be like Sal's 50th. It was amazing. Because it's a proper fucking milestone, you know? I expect my 60th to be 10 times better than that. Than how I anticipated my 50th. 10 times better. 100 times better. You know? Again, you know, I'm not an optimist, but I can see where this is going. But I can see all of the really, really rough parts, and they're going to be so fucking rough. Again, I don't think a lot of people have, when you say it's going to get tough, you know, I don't think people are really taking on board just how fucking bad this can get, you know. But if you can get to the other side of this, I'm telling you, it will be worth it. It will. It will. Just look at the patterns. This is how we've gotten through life, and why we are the way we are, through looking at patterns, you know, and putting little pieces of the puzzle together and seeing stuff that most people overlook because they're so wrapped up in what, you know, where they're going on holiday, or what colour they're going to have their nails done, and just what time's EastEnders on tonight, because I know there's been a delay because football was on. Shit like that, you know. So I should read down rather than up now, because I was reading up for some reason instinctively. Does that mean I'm a Chinese operative? Sweet dreams, Jenny. And I mean that, sweet dreams. Sleep well and breathe. Those breaths, you know it works, you know it makes sense, you know it does. And I'll speak to you soon. So you know when shit makes sense. Again, it's I think that's you know they go on. You know they're going about chakras, right? You know, if someone started talking to me about chakras 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah. And it's like half an hour later, I'd be like, wow, yeah. Anyway, mate. Oh, okay. I'm sure I'll see you around. You know, I'll buy you a pint. You know, and I'm gone. I'm thinking, fucking hell, he was doing my head in. Now there are little things that are starting to make sense about all of that. Now, but I don't want to come across as all woo-woo and fucking stupid to you. Sweet dreams, Jenny. Yeah. Anyway, so you the whole chakra thing, right? So look, let me just give you a really crude breakdown on a few of them that might make sense. So if you picture something that you remember of just some kind of outline of a body, you know, not an actual photo of a body, just an outline of a body, and then different types of rocks or different types of stones or crystals at different parts of the body going from top to bottom, right? So the highest ones are the highest vibrations. The lowest ones are the lowest vibrations. So sexual urges, right? So you've got a chakra right down here, right? I'm glad you couldn't see my hands because I was all gangster, like fucking down here. And then they're your really basic kind of animalistic drives, they're quite low level vibrations. Whereas the one in your mind is one of the highest vibrating, because that's where your pineal gland is housed, you know. And then you've got one somewhere else, which I think might be around your mouth or something like that, where you've got all your taste and, you know, you can sense and smell and all that. You've got another one, you know, loads of shit going on around here. And there's another anyway. So they kind of, they're points of quite serious energy all the way down, from down to up and up to down. But two of his chakras are at your heart and your gut. And those two combined, to me, are in a lot of ways way more powerful than your brain, because your brain's had a lifetime of programming. You can't program your heart and your gut. It's impossible. Impossible. So anyway, went right off the fucking track there. Pattern recognition is one of the things that separate us from the domesticated people. Not necessarily. I'll give you an example in a minute. Right. So in certain parts of America, they had a really fucking bad infestation of fire ants. Right. Just look this up. What's this got to do with prepping? Nothing. Not this bit. Unless you've got a fire ant infestation, but even then, it probably still wouldn't apply. So, when they were bringing up certain kind of vegetables and fruits and all manner of shit from South America into North America, they brought up fire ants, and the fire ants started to kind of adapt and think, oh, this is all right, fucking loving it. Like a lot of Mexican people feel like when they go to America, you know, it's all right. But before you know it, these fire ants started to colonize, and they were wiping out fucking cattle, because they were working their way up in defense of their nest. So they'd see the hoof of a cow come down on a nest. All the pheromones of all the angry fucking ants, the soldier ants and stuff, the worker ants, would work their way up the hoof and then up the leg of the cow and find the most delicate bit to attack, which was usually the eyes, which rendered the cows useless and, well, you know, it killed them, right? So that's come up with a way of trying to sort this fucking problem out. And the only way that they could do that was by bringing in flies that were from South America that basically flew into and decapitated all the ants, and then they jumped down on the ants and then laid an egg in the ant, and then the maggot turned the ant into a zombie. So eventually it wiped these flies, and they were pouring them down at massive containers, just dumping them on top of these fire ant nests, these massive, loads of these flies. Oh, what led me to I think that pattern recognition is one of the things that separates us. Right, yeah, right. So anyway, so they've been doing that for years, right, on fire ants. And it had made a difference, not as much of a difference as they would have hoped, because they just spread and colonized so much, so fast. But it did make a difference. It did help out a lot of ranchers and stuff where beef was their bread and butter, Now we're talking about ants that have got, just they live off instinct, and that's pretty much it, right? They're autonomous for it almost. They know what their job is, and they don't deviate from that job. That's it, that does separate us from them. Now, after about 20 years of doing that with these ants and these flies, the ants learned, after 20 years, ants, how big are their brains? They learned to become very, very cautious whenever they saw something flying in a certain way, like these flies did, and they would retreat back to the nest. It altered the behavior of ants. So if they can manipulate, if the minds of and behavior of ants can be manipulated over 20 years, then imagine how a complex, really complex brain, human mind can be manipulated in so many different ways. A fucking multitude, an infinite amount of ways. Yet we've made it through it all. And again, I'm not comparing us with ants. I'm just saying that when you really think about the fact that they changed their behavior for the first time, probably and possibly in millions of years. Yeah, Dave, unfortunately, I'm full of a lot of useless fucking information. Lots of information, loads of fucking information in my head. None of it's useful. Some bits are. If you want me to show you how to make a fucking candle, but I do make a mean Dakota fire. So it balances out a bit. Right, we're at 20 past midnight. So I'm going to finish my cigarette and then we'll draw it down to an end. I've always thought, I wonder if I could infiltrate Oxford or Cambridge, just by fucking smashing it, being a proper posh boy, hello, would you mind? Terribly sorry. Could you tell me where the bar is? It's very rough around here. Would you mind accompanying me? Soft lads. There's never been a soft lad that's won wars ever. It's always been courage. I think it was Annie. I think Annie sent me something earlier on, and it was lovely. And I did talk about something in relation to what she sent me earlier on, in regards to auditors / citizen journalists. I do think we need more and more citizens journalists out there, because you're getting a very, if you subscribe, again, the whole auditing thing, I've got a love-hate thing for it. Annie knows that, but you do end up with this, the love thing is you've got this multi-purpose, this multi-perspective, angle on what's happening around the country, especially in regards to the cockroaches. So That's a really, really good thing. I forgot where I was going with that. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. And again, if you want to just go into a little bit of prepping and then come back out of it again, right? Those stock cubes. Again, if anyone's after anything sort of juicy and doom, right, at the moment, I'm taking you back to prepping for a second, if you don't mind. So bear with me. So I've done all the beef ones are done, right? So I'm going to work on the chicken ones next. So they're all, it says beef on that. It will say chicken on these ones, right? So these, the point I'm trying to make, bit quickly, because before it gets boring, right? The point I'm trying to make is that these, is it Bramwell's stock cubes? The chicken, the beef, and the vegetable, they're all the same size, right? From Aldi, okay? Now, if you buy 10 by 15 size pouches for your backpacking machine, it takes 9 of these perfectly. That gives you enough room to seal it off at the top and write on it, right? They are perfect. 10 by 15, and you take 9. That's 9 vac-packed, hot, comforting winter drinks for the next 4 years. You know, they just pack away here, there, and everywhere. If ever there was a really, really good prepping tip that I ever gave, right, as exaggerated as that sounds, you won't believe how much you'll appreciate one of these further down the line. I'm telling you, for what they cost. I'll tell you what, I can't think of a better time to be alive than now, because I think most of us have gotten over the whole sort of freight train in the face hit of reality, which has been tougher for some than others, you know. But the fact that we're literally on the precipice of the biggest and most profound change on a societal level, on a civilization level in human history, and we're getting to experience that now. How fucking mad is that? How mad is that? And I think if you can learn to try and embrace that somehow, you'll smash it. You will. Just keep thinking outside the box. So keep your mind a parachute, always better open, right? Know when to take breaks, and know that we can't lose. You know, have absolute faith in yourself. This is uncharted water, but it just makes complete sense to me that the odds are against them, not us. And I think that's why they're so desperate. Yeah, as many sources as you can. If you hear something different there, and then something different there, and then something similar there, and something similar there, you can take all of that information. Again, keep your mind open. When I say open, don't let anything in there and just start clogging shit up. Just let it in through your ears, through your eyes. Let it in. Let it float around, and it will connect when it needs to connect. You know. So when things start to make sense, it's you've got plenty of fucking energy left because it's just made sense. It's like, yeah, actually, yeah, that makes sense. But that usually occurs by listening, keeping an open mind, keeping that mind open. You're not dismissing that. You're not dismissing that. You're not dismissing that. We were all brought here by unicorns. That can be dismissed. Common sense. But yeah, anything that's just even a remote possibility, don't dismiss it. Just allow it in. You know, everything will line up and make it make sense if it's worth making sense of. You know. Honestly, we've got abilities that just blow your mind, but we've been suppressed for so long, you know. There are other routes of conversation I could go down now, but I don't want to start fucking winding down from one aspect of life and then getting ready to rev up and go up another aspect of life when I'm trying to start and slow and close the live stream down for the evening. Oh dear. Now, Dave from up north, that's down south, right? That's a perfect comment to sign off on. You know, that don't be fearful. You know, if you've got enough faith in yourself, and I mean that, you know, and you'll know if you have, and if you haven't, work on it. And it's not hard. It's not hard because you are what you are. You're it. You know. It's not about how big you are. It's not about how many fucking landmines you've got around your home. I haven't, by the way. Can't get hold of them yet. It's not about how many surface-to-air missiles you've got and fucking. It's about your attitude. And when you know, you know. And when you know you're going to make it, you're going to make it. You will, because you'll make it happen. I get that side of what you see and what you perceive turns into reality. There are certain elements of that I don't quite get, but I do get the fact that as long as you've got absolute self-belief in yourself, that you are, as long as you are righteous in that, you know, you're not a cunt. So when I say when I say that, I mean that as being good intentioned. Then you're untouchable. Nothing can touch you. But it has to be absolute self-belief, absolute, completely devoid of fear. And it's not hard to do. It's not. You know, I've had some people that have bizarrely, again, synchronicities, a couple of people that don't even know each other, that have used the whole Wizard of Oz analogy of they finally get to the great all-powerful Oz, and he's just this wizened old fucker behind a curtain that's pulling levers, and that's what these people are, and they can't deviate from their plan, but we can. We can adjust, pivot. So just bear that in mind. We were always in control. It's just that we didn't realize it. We need to hide that lighter, because if I don't, that could take my fucking fringe off. On that note, it's been an interesting live stream. I feel like it's been a bit one-sided. There hasn't been as much interaction as I would have liked, but it would seem there's been a bit of listening, and it's just nice to know that we can literally just talk about whatever we want to talk about and just feel completely comfortable, like we're around friends we've never met. And I think that's lovely, quite rare, It's been a pleasure again, mate. Take care. And you, Dave. And you, Dave, from up north. You seem like a really, really nice chap, a nice little addiction. I do like it, Jim, but I'm not pissed. A nice addition to our little tribe, and we are. That's what we are. Some people think that tribalism is a negative thing, and it's not. It really isn't. It's not. It's very functional, and hopefully we'll get to see that sooner rather than later. Yeah. We'll be reet, as they say in Ilkeston. Much love and ciao for now.